in your house how to fit burglar alarms.
Go on then.
Can you fit them yourself?
Can I?
Can anyone?
If you wish.
Do you have to be experienced by it to do it?
To do it properly and well, I suppose it would be useful to have some experience, but you can buy kits.
Alright, thanks, Al.
It was a pleasure. Howdy, Kathy.
Right, well, I would just like to air my views on the awful atrocities of Tyre, and I know many others know that is happening to thousands of innocent animals in laboratories and universities. This profit from misery, it's just the tip of the iceberg when
What profit does the university make?
Well, not really the university, but laboratories. And when
you said university.
Okay, well, I'll tell you about laboratories. Well, this profit from misery, it's just the tip of the iceberg when you really examine what goes on to animals today, for example, in factory farming and slaughter. But the idea of testing makeup on animals for the sake of makeup and cosmetics, it just makes me sick. It's ridiculous when you...
Do you use animal products at all?
No, I don't.
You don't use any?
No.
Never. You don't eat cheese with rennet in or anything?
Oh, I'm not talking about food, I'm talking about cosmetics.
So you accept cruelty for food?
No, I don't. Well, I am a vegetarian.
You're not a full vegetarian?
Oh yeah, I'm a full vegetarian. I don't eat fish or anything like that.
Do you eat any or use any meat products?
No, not at all.
You don't? Do you eat cheese with rennet in?
No.
No, you don't eat any hard cheeses?
No. I don't like cheese anywhere.
Well, you're lucky. So you live on vegetables alone? You don't use milk? You don't use eggs?
Well, I use milk.
You use milk? Do you know how we get milk?
Well, yeah.
How?
Well, from the cows.
Why do you think the cows have so much milk to spare?
I'm not quite sure about that.
Have a think about it.
Why they have so much to spare? Okay, well, I don't know.
Well, who is the cow's milk really for?
It's for its children.
Yes, what are they called? Calves.
Calves.
That's right. It's for the calves.
Yeah.
And what do we do with the calves?
I'm not really talking about food.
Well, no, I know you're not. What do we do with the calves that they suddenly don't need the milk?
Oh, they use it for us. Oh,
They do what?
What do you mean? Could you say that again?
These calves are born.
Yeah.
So the mother of the calves, the cow, makes milk. And we take the milk.
Yeah.
What happens to the calves?
Well, I'm not really talking about that, but I mean...
What happens to the calves?
Well, it does get, so I mean, it doesn't get...
What happens to the calves?
Well, sometimes they do get killed. Most of the time they do get killed.
They almost always get killed eventually. That's what they're there for.
I don't agree with that.
But you're helping it.
Yeah, but I mean...
You're drinking milk.
I think it's skimmed milk. Marvel.
It's not skimmed in the cow. It's skimmed outside, love.
Yeah, but I'm not really talking about it.
No, of course you're not. You don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about your cruelty. You only talk about somebody else's cruelty. Who are you? People in glass houses should keep the stones in the pocket. Most men should anyway. But all I can say is, until you are completely vegan, you are in no position to criticise those who are cruel for human use.
The Home Office continues to tell us that animals shouldn't be allowed to suffer unnecessarily, but they do.
Well, of course they do.
Do you really believe
it depends.
Do you really believe that these animals should suffer?
It depends on.
Do you really believe
it depends on whose yardstick you're going to use to define necessity. If I talk to a vegan, they tell me it is unnecessary for a calf to be taken away from its parent and put to death. You tell me it's totally necessary because we've got to get the milk.
Necessary.
So you're telling me now that you won't drink milk anymore?
Well, if I could do without it, I would.
Well, you can. You can drink soya milk.
Oh, I didn't know there was any.
Well, there is. Have I converted you to soya milk?
Yeah.
Good.
Where would I get it from?
Then we've made progress.
Where would I
Health
get that
food
from?
shops.
Oh, I didn't know there was any of it. I didn't know about that.
You obviously don't go in health food shops very often.
I do, but I didn't see
I suggest next time you go in, you ask them for some soya milk.
But
I will also tell you that it is absolutely repulsive.
Oh, well, that's just your opinion, though. I might like it.
You might. You never know your luck.
I know. But I wasn't really talking about... I was talking about cosmetics in a certain university where I'm not going to mention. They've got steel windows up and doors, and the security is just like Colditch. You couldn't get in.
But that is merely because individuals have started to release those animals, which I think is a totally stupid action. when these animal liberation people go into these laboratories and let all the animals go, they don't do the animals any favours.
I know, but they shouldn't be there in the first place.
Let us deal with what's going on, should we? If you go along and you release all those animals, all that happens is they get replaced with other animals.
Well, I just think that's awful. I mean,
well, all right, it's awful, but can we just understand why they've got steel windows and the like? They've got those because of the lunatics in the Animal Liberation Front.
Yeah, I do agree the rest of them, they go a bit over the top.
A bit over the top? Bombing a minister's home's fairly a long way over the top, I'd have said.
But, I mean, it's not really those people that should do something, it's the government, really, that
What should the government do? Would you be prepared to use a cosmetic that had not been tested?
Yeah, you can get it from plants.
You can get,
like that.
yes, you can get it from plants. You can get beauty without cruelty. You can get it from the body shop, and indeed, I use a lot of stuff from the body shop myself. However, it takes us no further forward. If people want a product, why not use an animal to test it?
Well, I think it's just. I mean, they say animals are thick and they can't.
Well, let's not worry about whether they're thick or not. Just tell me why not use an animal to test it.
Because it's barbaric, it's awful.
Well, all right, but we are barbaric. We've just let about a million...
Well, say I was.
Well,
I don't think I am.
I'm sorry, you are prepared to have calves put to death just so you can drink the milk that should have fed them. That's pretty barbaric, isn't it?
Well,
isn't it?
Yeah, but...
Well, that's what you do. That's what you do.
It's not like that.
It is like that.
Not all the calves are put to death like that.
Oh, well, that makes it much better. Does it say on your bottle, no calves died for this milk, when you get your milk left on the step in the morning? You're contributing to the system. So you're barbaric, to a different degree, but barbaric. All I'm pointing out to you is that we're all barbaric to some degree.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just come to terms with it and say, what the hell? So it's a new lipstick. Who cares? It's only a rabbit, for crying out loud.
I know that's so. I mean, don't you think? I mean, I'd be really happy. I mean, I could live with everything like that if it had just become law or something like that. If the law that you can use animals in anything like that, no meat or anything. I wouldn't bother me in the least, and I'm sure everybody could.
You don't know that until you've tasted your soya milk. Anyway, Kathy, you don't want animals to be used. Fine. I'll do Colette.
Hello.
Hello.
Last night, a lady, quadriplegic with MS, phoned in and said there was nowhere for her to have a holiday. I know you don't like having names and numbers over the thing, but if she likes to contact her local MS group, there's an organisation in Ormskirk, Liverpool, near Liverpool, who do just that. Holidays for MS patients, regardless of their age.
OK, thank you for that. It's not by any means the Wing Fellowship Trust, is it?
No, it's not.
That's all right, then.
It's an organisation that is international, actually, but it has a house in Ormskirk that has beds for MS patients for holidays, short stay.
Sounds excellent. Thank you very much, Colette. Bye-bye now.
Okay, bye.
Red Rose Kitchens.
This Saturday from 9 till 12, the chart of Lancashire's favourites will be played on Lancashire's favourite station, the Red Rose Top 40 on Red Rose Radio, in association with Red Rose Kitchens of Morebrook Street, Preston, manufacturers of quality fitted kitchens and the #1 kitchen for your home. The chart is compiled by computer every week from sales throughout the Northwest. Catch the Top 40 this Saturday at 9 a.m. and discover which song's been made #1 by you.
Red Rose Kitchens, always the #1 for your home.
Along Blackpool Prom, don't wear out your shoes. Take the beachcomber service on the Baby Blues. From Ginn Square to Pontins, buy a ticket to ride. 8 buses an hour, morning to night.
Take the Baby Blues along Blackpool Prom for 30 pence, or buy a weekly ticket for £3. Baby Blues stop at all the recognised bus stops from June 29th.
You just can't beat the Baby Blues. The Red Rose Advertiser.
In your Red Rose Advertiser this week, features on Tom O'Connor, Joe Mercer and David Jensen. Kids Corner with a star local junior DJ. Clive Lloyd's cricket column. Beswick hits out at Caravanners. And your letters on last week's controversy over horoscopes.
The Red Rose Advertiser.
there's a chance to win a £4,000 kitchen. And we ask, whatever happened to CB Radio? It's all in the Red Rose Advertiser for Preston and South Ribble.
The Red Rose Advertiser.
Out this morning. If you didn't get a copy and you want one, you can collect one from Red Rose Radio's reception during office hours, 5 days a week. How do, Michael?
Hello, Alan.
Hello. Speak louder or we won't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm calling on behalf of the lady whose mother was dying of cancer.
Yes.
I've recently lost both my parents through cancer, and I'm aware of the alienation that one undergoes. My mother's death was a sort of standard NHS, laid in a hospital bed and full of morphine, and was pretty unpleasant. When my father died, we were put in touch with a group called the Macmillan Nurses, and they were absolutely tremendous, and they helped us, all the family, not just my father, but all of the family through the experience, and they were very, very good. They're specifically trained in dealing with terminal care, and they will visit at your home, and they not only attend the patients, but they also attend the family.
Is it a free service?
It is.
And it's called the Macmillan Nurses?
Yes.
Can you tell me just the telephone area that they're in?
Well, I don't know, because I've only used them in Liverpool.
You use them in Liverpool. Okay, so if anyone wanted details, they could find them in a...
I don't doubt that they could find out through their local GP or the local health authority.
Or from the Citizens Advice Bureau. Okay, well, thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, Michael, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Peggy.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
A couple of months ago, a young girl phoned in and said that she'd gone into voluntary care. She had to come out of there and she'd know where to go, and she didn't know whether she had to go back to her parents or not. Now, if this young girl is still listening, I would like to offer her a good home. I've got a 3-bedroomed house here with just me living in it. I can write in and give you a few details of me if she would like to contact you, and I will offer her a good home.
Fine. Well, if anyone wants to take up Peggy's offer, or if that girl wants to take up Peggy's offer, if she drops me a line and puts inside the envelope another envelope addressed to Peggy, then I will forward it on, providing you, Peggy, write to me. Okay?
Right, I will do that. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
I really don't know what to do. I'm bored right out of my head. There's no one here I can talk to. Think I'll go to bed.
She was boring, 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 boring.
Interesting. You're bored. However, this can be put right by remembering one word. Talk about. By phoning Talk About on 0055 0055, you can chat, laugh, or just listen in with up to 9 people, all on one line. People like you from your part of town. It's like a party on the phone.
0055. I made a call to talk about. It really made my day. Found what I've been missing out. Now I've lots to say.
A 3-minute call to Talk About costs between 11p and 41p approximately, depending on the time of day.
More super deals from Bradshaw's. 87 Escort 1.4 Bravo Diamond White Stereo Radio Cassette 3,810 miles. 86 Fiesta Gear Citrine Yellow 3,790 miles. 86 Sierra 1.8 GL Estate Lacquer Red Radio Cassette 7,500 miles. 87 Fiesta 1100 Festival Choice of Colors Diamond White, Burgundy, Azure Blue, all very low mileage. 87 Fiesta 1400S Black 4,870 miles. 5-speed gearbox. 86 Volkswagen Golf GTI Red Pioneer Stereo Radio Cassette with graphic equalizer. 5-speed gearbox, alloy wheels, sunroof. 85 Volvo 740 GLT Silver Metallic. Auto transmission, DAS, central locking, etc. More super deals from Bradshaw's, Marsh Lane, Preston, phone 54083.
You're better off at Bradshaw's.
Benjamin knows a great many things. He knows the breaking strain of his teddy bear's left leg. He knows 5 whole nursery rhymes by heart. And, yes, if the truth be told, he knows just how much lovely, soft Kleenex velvet toilet tissue he needs to lower his teddy safely from the landing to the hall below. Unfortunately, this fascinating experiment in tensile strength has also revealed his mother's breaking strain.
Kleenex Velvet. Softness is our strength.
Backpackers and walkers heading for the great outdoors, stop first at the great indoors, the Blackburn Camping Centre. No one has a range of specialist outdoor equipment and clothing quite like it. All the leading brands, including rich tents from Bango and Ultimate, Caramore rucksacks, sprayway and mounted equipment clothing, boots, sleeping bags and a host of accessories. You won't find a better selection for miles. So find the Blackburn Camping Centre, King Street, Blackburn. Phone 661 650.
Before you get to the great outdoors, get to the Blackburn Camping Centre.
I'll do, Andy.
Hello, Al. I'd like some information, please, about the police force. I know in England and Wales, they don't take them on until about 19, do they, or something like that?
I don't know.
I'm wondering, in the Isle of Man, is it the same? But I only have heard.
I don't know. You'll have to ring the police force in the Isle of Man to find out.
Okay, then.
Sorry, mate. I'll do, John.
Hello, Al.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about private landlords, about the rent allowed to charge.
Well, they're allowed to charge whatever they can get, unless there's a fair rent been established.
Yeah, well, I'm under landlord at the moment, and he was charging £35 a week, and the fair rent officer come round and he assessed the place, and he said it was only worth £8 a week. That was a bed sit. So what my landlord's done is had it changed to bed and breakfast now. He's now charging £60 a week.
That's the way they get around it.
Yeah, well, it's what I'm complaining about, really. There should be some law introduced to say that he shouldn't be able to get away with that.
That is the way it is at the moment. I can tell you that the government, or at least officers of Her Majesty's Service, the civil servants, are actually at this moment looking at ways of dealing with that kind of problem, because it's costing a fortune in terms of DHSS payments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So maybe we'll get something soon.
The Midnight News, this is Alan King. A man has been shot dead in West Belfast Springfield Road tonight. Police say he was not a member of the security forces. Earlier, an Ulster Defence Regiment soldier survived a murder bid in Newcastle, County Down. A masked man fired a number of shots at his car from close range. The government is already facing opposition from its own backbenchers over plans to replace rates with a community charge. Only hours after the proposal was unveiled in the Queen's speech, many Tory MPs have strongly criticised the new tax. MP Robin Squire says the charge, based on the electoral roll, would prove difficult to collect because people frequently move home.
It is my belief that it becomes an absolute nightmare to track down. And of course, even when you have tracked down, you think, successfully, to try and administer and levy and recover that money, I have to say, will be a separate, further degree of nightmare.
A 15-year-old boy is being questioned by Portsmouth police in connection with the rape of a 5-year-old girl and a series of indecent assaults in the city. The attacks have happened in the Buckland area over the past few weeks. Senior Labour MPs are saying that Dennis Healey's decision to stand down from the shadow cabinet will be a great loss to the party. Mr Healey, who'll be 70 in August, says he's not putting himself forward for Labour's new frontbench team, but he will carry on campaigning for the party both inside and out of Parliament. Deputy Labour leader Roy Hattersley says they'll miss his wealth of experience.
The Labour Party will be worse for not having him on the front bench, and politics will be a lot worse for not having him in a very senior position. I hope he's got to go on making his mark from the backbenchers, but it won't be quite the same as having him in the inner councils and the senior council.
Former fugitive John Fleming is celebrating his freedom after a London magistrate said there was insufficient evidence to link him with a multi-million-pound Brinksmat gold bullion robbery. His wife, freed on a similar charge, says she was always convinced of his innocence. South African security forces have sealed off the huge crossroads area near Cape Town, home to tens of thousands of blacks. Police and soldiers have been conducting house-to-house searches in the sprawling settlement. From Johannesburg, Nigel Wrench.
Some 800 police and soldiers were involved. Everyone was kept out of the shanty settlement, including reporters and representatives of civil rights groups. Authorities said it was a crime cleanup. 110 people were held. But it seemed clear there was a political element. since in one area of Crossroads there was a hand grenade attack on a police patrol earlier this week in which 7 policemen were hurt. The area is tense this evening. Nigel Wrench, IRN, Johannesburg.
4 Chinese waiters who attacked diners during a row over spare ribs and crispy duck have each been jailed for 2 years. So the Crown Court in London heard that the terrified party had been clubbed like seals at a Soho restaurant when they got up to leave because the food was not available. The court was told that the group were battered with baseball bats, sticks and clubs, and that chair legs were even broken off and used as weapons. Independent Radio News.
If the roof caves in or you need a new bin, get yourself down to Fairwood. Need a new front door or tiles on the floor, get yourself down to Fairwood. If the front gate squeaks or the radiator leaks or the house needs a lick of paint, then nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood. Need a tin of grout or a new downspout, do it yourself with Fairwood. Patio flags and cement in bags, do it yourself with Fairwood. Keep the weather out, insulate the house, you can save yourself a mint. Just nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood.
At Cemetery Road Southport, Higgins Lane Burscough, and now at Market Woods, Wigan Road, West Horton.
Broadbents and Boothroyd's of Southport great summer sale is now on. There's a whole host of savings for everyone. But hurry, with sale prices like ours, they won't last long. So, come to Broadbents and Boothroyd's of Southport today and pick up your sale bargain.
We're looking for a presenter from the local Afro-Caribbean or Asian communities to help Red Rose Radio produce a weekly programme. No previous broadcasting experience is necessary. We'll teach you the job. But what we do need is enthusiasm and commitment. You must be able to give us 3 or 4 hours of your time each week. Interested? Then contact the programme controller, Red Rose Radio, PO Box 301, Preston.
Ring him if you dare. Allan Beswick, the late night show.
Welcome to Friday. It's very nearly 5 minutes past midnight. Preston 561,000 is the telephone number if you wish to join us on the phone-in. I'll do Dermot.
Hello. Can I have 2 chicken fried rice and a portion of curry, and I'll be round in 10 minutes.
I'll hit you with a big stick if you do, because I want to go to prison. I'll do Brian.
All right, Alan.
Yes.
Well, you're always all right, I believe.
This is true. What do you want?
I just want to talk about, I don't know if you've seen tonight's Evening Gazette about the ambulance driver that got his nuts chewed for talking about leaving his engine running.
When you say nuts chewed, I presume you mean told off.
Well, being somebody that's worked for somebody else, you'll know what I mean.
Well, you tell me what you mean, because everybody out there doesn't know at the moment.
Well, I should imagine they do, but the guy's an ambulance driver in
Yes, we
in
know
the
what he is.
file.
What do you mean by nuts chewed?
Oh, getting dragged on the carpet then, if you want to know if you don't.
You got told off, thank you. There, you see, we don't really need the vernacular, we can communicate without
Yeah, but
it.
it's so petty. I mean, you've got to drag yourself
What do you mean
so
it's
low.
petty? He's breaking the law.
Why?
Because the law says you're not allowed to leave your vehicle unattended with the engine running.
Yeah, but
Well, he's
being
breaking
a
the
man of means like yourself,
A
what
man
would
of
you do
means.
if you was doing his job?
I'm not sure what I would do if I was doing his job. I'm not doing his job, I'm
Yeah,
doing
but
mine.
it's probably one of the jobs you haven't done.
If you break the law, then you must expect to pay the penalty.
Not when you're driving an ambulance and somebody's life's at
Listen,
stake and you
recently,
jump out. Wait a minute. If you jump out,
recently, in Lancashire, 2 ambulance-men got out of their motor vehicle to attend someone who was having a heart attack
that's
in a
what
house.
I'm talking about.
Listen.
This is what I'm on about.
Is this the one where the ambulance was stolen?
That's it.
Right. So the ambulance was stolen.
Yep.
It would have been harder to steal if they had not left the engine running.
Yeah, but if they hadn't, the guy might have died.
And if they'd have had to wait for another ambulance,
Yeah,
which I believe took, was it quarter of an hour?
yeah, the guy still didn't die.
No, indeed, he didn't die. But if that 5 seconds it takes to go click, click would have been too long for him to stay alive, then let me tell you the quarter of an hour waiting for the next ambulance would have been too long as well.
Yeah, but you were the county's biggest if but or whatever merchant. If
Well,
if
I'm-
but
I'm-
whatever
no,
had
I'm
have
sorry.
happened. Wait a minute. You've had to
Derek-
say, hang about.
Brian,
Let's refer.
Brian, it
No,
was
let's
you.
refer. Wait a minute.
Brian, Brian, it was you that introduced all the ifs and buts.
Yeah, but you said if.
No, Brian, it was you that introduced
Yeah,
if.
but you said...
Brian,
No,
Brian,
I ain't about
Brian,
I ain't about
Brian, it was you that introduced if. When you asked what I thought of it, I made a very positive statement, and
Yeah,
that
but-
was
but
that
what
if...
would you have done?
You're back to your but. I thought but was excluded from this conversation, Brian.
Never mind.
But what
never
I
mind
would have
that.
done is
What would
totally
you
and
have
utterly
done?
irrelevant.
If you'd
What
have been
I would
driving
have
an
done,
ambulance,
Brian,
if you'd have been driving an ambulance
Brian.
and you was pulled up outside
Brian,
Joe Bloggs' house and
Brian.
you knew that guy had a
Brian.
heart attack, you'd be in and out and get him in the back
Brian.
of the ambulance and away.
assuming the ambulance was still there, of
It
course.
doesn't mean it was. That
doesn't make any
How
odds.
many
We
times
could've-
has it ever happened? How many times has the ambulance got
Brian,
pinched?
Brian, we have to come to terms with the fact that those two gentlemen, A, broke the rules and regulations of their occupation.
Which everybody
They
does
also-
to make it work.
They also...
Which everybody does
they
to make it
also-
work.
They also broke the law.
Well, the law, I mean...
And as a result of those two individual offences, an ambulance was stolen and, if I might...
damaged.
And damaged. I'm not bothered about that too much for the time being, because I'm more concerned about the individual. One of the things, when you're acting as an emergency response team, that you have to always have in your mind is the long-term overall objective and all the potential obstructions to that. And over years, a system has been developed which is the best, in my view, the best available to us at the cost.
Not in my view, it isn't.
You don't think it's the best available at the cost. Do remember that qualification. So you think the ambulance...
I haven't got any qualification. I'm just talking about now.
No, Brian, when I say qualification, I don't mean O-level. When a qualification is used in a statement, it means it sets out the criteria under which the statement is made.
Yeah, but it never
It's an
works.
English language.
Never works logically.
Brian, let me tell you that...
If you're out in the
Brian,
field, it never works.
Brian, I actually said something a moment ago, and I don't think you mean what you said. I don't think you understood what I said, and as a result of that, you've said something that I don't think you want to say. I won't go into the details of it, but what you have actually said in the last 2 minutes is that you do not think our ambulance service is as good as it could be for the cost. Now, did you mean to...
Granted.
I see. So you think our ambulance service could be better at the same cost?
Yeah.
Tell me how.
Well, it's just that same thing. I mean, if they'd have pulled up, I'm just going back to what I've already said, which you stopped me from saying. These two guys have pulled up outside an
Brian,
house.
you seem to have some trouble with the language.
No, I haven't.
You just said...
No, it's just,
Brian,
that you were a quicker talker than I am.
Brian, you just said, I'll go back to say what I've just said, even though you stopped me saying it. If I stopped you saying it, Brian...
Well, I've tried
you
to say
didn't.
that.
Oh, tried to say... I told you I had trouble with the language. Go on.
Yeah. Well, you probably got more A-levels and O-levels than I have.
Our dog's probably got more than you, Brian. Do go
so
on.
You've got to bring it all down and out, then you can just wind me up and then blow me off.
Brian...
I'm just saying that these
Brian,
two lads
Brian,
have done the job
Brian,
to the best of their ability
Brian,
when the situation arose.
Brian,
There you are, you don't even listen.
Brian, I heard what you said.
Yeah, well,
Brian,
you don't even want to listen, you just
Brian.
keep saying Brian.
Brian, shut up a moment.
There you are, go on then.
No, you don't shut up by speaking, you shut up by not speaking. Now, what I asked you, because I really don't think you mean what you're saying, I want you to consider not that particular incident for the moment.
That's what I rung up for, though. I mean,
Brian,
it's only one
shut
incident
up.
per
Brian,
person.
Brian, shut up. What you have said during the course of our conversation, Brian, was that the ambulance service could be better for the money. That wasn't a statement made in reference to any particular incident. It was a general statement. You have said that. You may not have meant to.
I didn't mention money.
Brian, shut up. You have said, you may not have meant to, but you have said that the ambulance service in this county is not as good as it could be for the money. You have made that statement by default. I now ask you, do you want that statement to stand?
I didn't say it in the way you were putting it.
Brian,
I said that
Brian,
the job...
Brian,
Wait a minute.
No, I won't wait. If you intend to insult the ambulance service in general...
Rubbish. I am not insulting now.
Right,
I am insulting the clowns that tried to run it.
Brian, please shut up. I'm going to ask you a question. I want a one-word answer from a choice...
And then when I don't give you what you want, you cut me
Brian,
off.
I don't care. I don't want either of them. I want you to have the opportunity to make a statement. Now listen to the question very, very carefully and do not answer it until I allow you to. Please listen to the question carefully. I know it's difficult for you. I will speak slowly. Brian, I want a yes or no answer. Do you think the ambulance service in the county of Lancashire is as good as it can be for the money?
I think it is as good as it can be.
How many words did you use?
Yes.
How many words did you use?
3,
Quite a
probably 4.
lot. About 7. Stop. Here is the question again.
Well, yeah.
Here is the question.
Yes,
no,
then.
we will do it.
You don't need the question.
Brian,
Yes.
we will do it all.
Yeah.
Brian, we will do it all again. Do you think the ambulance service in the county of Lancashire is as good as it can be for the money?
Yes.
Stick with me, Brian. Another question. Do you think the training given to ambulance drivers is as a result of years of experience in the field? One word answer.
Semi. Probably yes.
Okay.
But,
Brian,
look,
Brian,
wait a minute, can I
Brian,
say?
Brian.
Wait a minute, you're
Brian.
boxing me in the corner now, Alan.
Brian, I'm just asking you
No,
questions,
you're boxing
Brian.
me in the corner.
Brian.
No, you're
Brian.
not. Let me have a say.
Brian, shut up.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Brian,
Hang about
shut
It's
up.
supposed to be a phone-in.
Brian.
I'm not even getting my say here.
Brian, I make the rules. That's
Yeah,
why
but
you're
you're
not getting
boxing
this.
people in the
Brian,
corner.
shut up. Do you think that individual ambulance drivers should take it upon themselves to break those rules which have been devised after years of experience simply because they think they know best?
Depends on the situation. But you didn't ask for
Let
a
me
one-word answer.
ask the question again and
Yeah,
give
but
me
you
a
didn't
one-word...
ask for a one-question answer.
I stated at
For
the
that
beginning.
third
I
part.
stated at the
Not the-
beginning.
not the
I
first or the
stated at the
second.
beginning. Here we go. I want a one-word answer. Do you think individual ambulance personnel should take it upon themselves to disobey those rules which they individually think?
Well, I'll say yeah before you finish.
Okay. Why?
But it depends on the circumstances, obviously.
But the circumstances are all laid down.
No.
Do you honestly think it was the right thing to do?
Yes, I honestly do. And I've no way... wait a minute. Let me just say something there. I've no connection with ambulance
I don't
service.
care.
They've done
I
no
don't care.
favours for me.
I don't
I'm not
care.
sticking up for
I
nobody.
don't care.
I'm just
Why
saying...
do you think it was the right thing to do? Given the consequences.
All the right
Given
things,
the consequences.
all the right things to do are all down to the situation of when it happens. When something happens, whoever's in charge of that day, fair enough, he stands up, he does his own thing because he thinks, whatever it is, regardless if you're selling chips in the chippy or whatever.
Let's stick to the ambulance service.
Fair enough.
Let's stick to the ambulance
well,
service.
ambulance service. Something happens and you think, right, I'm in, I'm out. And that's it. I mean, if I don't do this now, so-and-so might die. The guy
Let me
jumps
ask you a
over his
question.
ambulance.
What is the point? What is the point of training?
It's all right, training. Training's magic, fair enough. I mean, you've had training on every job there is, isn't there?
I'd love you to answer the question.
What is the point of training?
That
To
was
make
the
the job
question.
go right. But, on the other
What
hand,
is the objective of the ambulance service?
to save lives.
And?
Go on.
And?
You tell me.
Well, to relieve suffering is the other
It's
one.
not, well, fair enough. Like I've told you before, I don't know nothing about it, but
Fine.
if I was driving that ambulance and I personally thought by nipping in an house, granted, leaving the engine running, dragging somebody out, I mean, the house might have been on fire, what would you done then?
The house wasn't on
It
fire.
might
I'm
have
sorry.
been.
Brian, you're the individual that said they ought to make the decision as according to the situation.
So, yeah.
Well, in
At
order,
the situation, it wasn't.
it wasn't on fire. So let us
Granted.
deal. Let us deal.
But they've gone,
let us,
they've gone
let
there
us deal.
blind,
Let us
as it
deal.
happened. Well, yeah, you were
Let us
saying
deal
towards
with
the
this
situation. The
situation.
bloke, the person in
Brian.
question didn't even have a heart attack.
Brian, let us deal with this situation that they have. The ambulance driver receives a call. He is told that there is a person in difficulty. He is led to believe, there are two of them, remember, they are led to believe that the person is suffering cardiac arrest. They arrive at the house.
Yeah.
What do you think should be their first priority?
saved their life.
What do you think is the first and most important step in doing that?
Well, obviously, what they've got in the vehicle, jump out, take whatever gear they'd used to save a life, and do it.
Oh.
Now, if one...
Define
wait
the
a minute,
gear.
wait a minute,
Define the gear.
wait a minute. If one steps out the ambulance, concerned in saving a life, and doesn't turn the engine off, now that's your training. You will stop, you will turn the key off, you will put it in your pocket, and you will walk away, and you will grab the cardiac arrest gear, whatever, and save this life.
Have you ever worked in a hospital, Brian?
I haven't.
No.
But I'm just saying, this is your training, isn't it?
Your training?
Your training that is the way it's done. There is your book, read it, take it all in your head.
No, I'm sorry, Brian. It isn't.
It is.
You know nothing, Brian.
You've just told me now that the sole purpose is save a life.
No, you told me.
No.
I asked you, remember?
Well, you asked me and I told you, but you didn't disagree.
Brian,
If I'd have been wrong, you'd have bit my head off.
I'll decide what I'll do when, Brian. You can make all the presumptions you wish. You have a democratic right to be wrong. Brian.
Have we not got a democratic right to be right?
Yes, but you haven't the ability. Brian,
Oh,
you've
I
never
think I have.
worked. You've never worked in hospital, it seems.
No.
You've never worked in any kind of medical institution.
No.
One of the things that happens in hospital is people have cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
I worked in a hospital where in every ward there were a series of buttons on the wall. And if anybody went into cardiac arrest, you simply pressed that button and it alerted a cardiac arrest team.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Good. Now then, do you think that team should disregard all else, all its training, or even any part of its training, just to attend that emergency?
No, I don't.
Do you think
they
it should
swan in.
follow the formats?
Yeah.
So also should ambulance drivers.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I wasn't talking about that team. You
You
brought
were
this...
talking about a similar situation,
No,
an
wait a
urgent
minute.
response team.
Just hang a crowd. Let me just get my piece in. You brung in that in now about these...
Brought.
Well, brought. Where I come from, it's brung.
We're not talking where you come from.
Well, if you just... Let me just say now what you... Let me just put it another way, the way you've twisted it now.
Haven't twisted anything.
No, let's be fair.
Haven't twisted anything.
You on about this...
I've asked you questions.
Well, I'll give you an answer.
What's
but I
the
just want to
problem?
put over the way I'd look at the
we've got
way
the
you
answer.
asked me the question.
Well, we'll be here all night.
Not necessarily.
Tell me what you think the ambulance driver should do. Make the rules up as he goes along.
No. Well, I mean, he doesn't... It's not a case of making rules up. Whoever... I mean, in this paper tonight, all I want to say is the guy that has carpeted him, which you'll know what I mean, and everybody that's listening knows about being carpeted, which is you get a start knocked off or whatever.
Please,
right?
please don't worry about whether people understand.
Well,
Those that don't probably don't want to.
well, I bet they do.
I'm tempted to be amongst them. Give
Get
us your
away,
point.
get
Give us your
away.
point.
You
Give us
know-
your point.
I'm just saying,
Give us your point.
well, right, the guy that's carpeted this ambulance crew, and I'm not bothered, you can say,
Give us
how
your
can I
point.
prove it
Give
or
us your
whatever.
point.
That same
Give us your
bloke,
point.
all right, I am doing. That same bloke, if he has come from the ranks of being an ambulance driver, has done exactly the same thing himself.
How do you know?
Because they all have.
How do you know?
Well, because...
How do you know?
Well, I can't prove it. Obviously, I knew
Then
what you were
don't
going
make
to say.
statement. I'm sorry, Brian.
Well, it's
If you-
all right
Brian,
saying that, but
Brian,
there's
if-
so many
if
rules.
Brian-
wait a minute,
Brian,
no.
No, Brian, not for that. If the basis of your
Yeah, but-
argument... Brian, shut up. If the basis of your argument is conjecture, then it is no basis for this programme. It might do for you.
No.
It might do for you.
Your program
It
is conjecture.
Brian, this programme's a reality.
It doesn't mean what.
Brian,
If
this
you were
programme is
bringing
a
a word
reality.
like conjecture in,
Brian.
that is how your program survives, because
Brian.
you
Brian.
do the same thing that you should
Brian.
do every time.
Brian, you have just accused a man of breaking the law.
Yeah, I will.
I see.
I don't...
Not anymore, you won't, Brian. You want to make any allegations, I suggest you go someplace else. Hello, Derek.
Are you still coming for dinner on Sunday, Alan?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dinner.
I know what dinner is. How do Mike?
Hello?
Hello.
You were on about a few months back.
I wasn't on about a few months back.
Okay.
I haven't mentioned a few months back.
You were saying that it's cruel fishing, but you were like all up for experimenting on animals and stuff. Like, why?
Well, think about it. If I just agreed with people with whom I have some sympathy, won't be much of a conversation, would it?
Eh?
Doesn't matter. There are certain intellectual levels to which you will never aspire. On line 1 we have who? How do Robert?
Ah, Mr. Beswick.
Goodbye, Robert. How do David?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about motor tax and motor vehicles, please.
Where else would they put motor tax?
Well, they wouldn't put them anywhere, I suppose. They could put them on heavy goods vehicles.
Well, they are motor vehicles, are they not?
They are motor vehicles, yes. Could I just make the point?
Yes.
I would like to see a different system as what's used at the moment. A system whereas the more you use the road, the more you would pay. I put the tax on petrol, for instance.
The problem with that, assuming you mean diesel as well, the problem with that is that the cost of all sorts of products would escalate.
Well, I want to stick to the petrol, the price of petrol escalating.
So you're not bothered about the lorries? You don't want to change the system for lorries, just for cars?
At this stage, just for cars. Because the more you use your vehicle, as in fleet vehicles, etc., the more you would have to pay. The average man in the street doesn't do many miles, doesn't pay as much.
Well, of course, the average man in the street pays for all the petrol indirectly, because he either pays for his own leisure petrol, or else he pays for reps to travel about the country selling products. And if we increase the cost to reps, and let's face it, we would do, because they're going to be using a greater amount of petrol than him, that will go on the cost of his products.
That would still, to me, seem a fairer system. He's using the road more. He would have to incorporate it. It would come out of his profits.
I see. Then, of course, the £100 or £50 for 6 months, I think it is, that one is required to find when purchasing a vehicle will mean no longer would you have to find it, and people who can't really afford to run a motor vehicle would be tempted to do so, the inevitable consequence of which would be wrecks on the road, yet more than there are now.
You can't avoid using petrol if you use a motor vehicle, though, and that's where you would be paying your tax.
Indeed, you can't afford to use a motor vehicle, but one of the things that prevents people from buying an old banger at the moment is they've got to go out and spend 50 notes straight away.
Also, it would also combat the problem of people that don't pay tax, and we all know how many millions are lost. So people not paying road tax.
It would go some way to combating that, but I don't think it's a big enough reason for doing it.
I still think it's a much further system.
Okay.
You pay for what you use.
That's fair enough. How do Steve?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
Can I talk about the lack of funding in the National Health Service, please?
I don't know whether you can, but you may.
Thank you. Well, I don't think it's right that Margaret Thatcher's spending all this money on things like nuclear weapons when there's problems in England, like the problems of the National Health Service.
Steve, the Conservative government of the last 2 generations, by generations I mean governmental generations as opposed to human generations, have put more money into the National Health Service than any of its predecessors.
Well, how come there's the queues, the waiting lists?
There have always been queues for the past 30 years.
They're going higher.
Longer.
The Conservative government claim that they've been putting more money in, but they haven't.
They have. The numbers are there to be checked.
But if you ask the average nurse if she's noticed any difference in the National Health Service, she'll say that it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Indeed, and they've been saying that for generations. They were saying that when I was in it.
In what?
And it's worse than it was before. I think people tend to say that generally. At the end of the day, we have to count the pound notes or pound coins that go into it, and there are considerably more pound coins going into the health service now than did when the Labour Party were looking after it.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
It's not true.
Are you telling me that the government statisticians who are impartial are lying?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Well, where's the money going, do you think?
It's going on things like nuclear weapons or...
No, the money is going into the health service. That is fact, and if you're not prepared to accept the facts, then get off, cretin. How do Alice?
It's Alistair, not Alice. Male. Hello, Alan.
How do Alistair?
Yeah. The situation is, right, I've had my hair cut. I mean cut as in had my head shaved. And I work in the Tourist Information Office in Chester. Now, if you're a tourist coming to Chester, now would you be put off by me being a representative of the city? And also, if you were my employer, would you A, sack me, B, make me buy a hat, or C, make me wear a wig?
I would do none of those. Wouldn't make any difference to me. But then I wouldn't be a tourist in Chester. There's all these places in Lancashire to visit.
Oh, no, Chester's much better.
It's a matter of opinion. I was there recently and I didn't find it particularly attractive. If you like old buildings and boring streets, it's all right.
Well, it's the same as Preston and areas like that, then.
When were you last in Preston?
About 1972.
Quite. Howdy, Kathy.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
Yes, I was on your programme a few weeks ago.
You're on it now.
It was regarding the ladies' club.
Ah, yes.
Yes. What I was wondering was, have you had any replies?
We've had some. Not a lot.
Not a lot. Okay.
We need to make a decision fairly soon.
I wonder if we'll get some more if we invite some fellas.
Then it won't be a ladies' club.
No, that's true. That's true. So, has the replies not been so good then?
Well, there's about 70, which is hardly enough.
No. Oh, what a shame.
Such is life. People want, others don't want.
Such a shame, yeah.
All right.
Okay, sorry for troubling you.
It's all
Thanks
right.
for having me on the program.
How do, Steve?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
Yeah? Is it true that you can have a provisional driving licence at the age of 16 and 10 months?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's true.
Well, you used to be a driving instructor.
Not at 16 and 10 months, I didn't.
No, you didn't. But could you tell me where to go for information on that?
Citizens Advice Bureau.
Okay, thanks.
Pleasure.
Goodbye.
It's the time that you take, it's a coat, it's a break, it's a pause in the beat, a cool from the heat. Just what I need. It's a hit, Coca-Cola is it. It's put them on hold, that Coke is ice cold. It's let the train wait, don't care if I'm late. It's just how you feel, it's a break that's for real. It's a kick, it's a hit, it's a Coke. It's a kick, it's a hit, it's a Coke. Coca-Cola is it. This is it, the best place to go. The Coach House Diner is the one you'll want to know, yeah. This is
Steaks, chicken, fish, salads, pizzas, pasta, sandwiches for scrumptious lunch or dinner. Call in the Coach House Diner in Lytham. 5 different eating areas and 2 exciting bars. Plenty of room for everybody. The Coach House Diner, opposite the Green on Henry Street, Lytham.
the Coach House Diner, this is it.
Away on an Avalon holiday.
The date is the 27th of June, the destination Austria. Imagine 10 days of luxury coach travel with stays in Liège, Gastorf, Zillertal and Strasse, plus excursions to Innsbruck and Meyerhofen. The company is Avalon Travel. The price, a giveaway at £199 for 10 superb days. Ring Avalon Travel now on Bolton 398 788.
Bolton 398 788 to book your holiday.
For sale, motor classified ads in the Red Rose Advertiser. Brand new in display box. Just £5 for up to 12 words. Genuine reason for sale. Wanted motor classified advertisers. Must have car to sell. Must...